So good morning, Marty Wolf. How you doing this morning?
Joe Redding, I'm thrilled to be back with you for the PSA podcast for another great guest.
It is going to be a great guest. So it's a little cloudy, a little muggy and foggy down here in Delaware, but Christelle's going to brighten our day. So today we're going to be discussing the business and technology behind ABB Robotics, which is a leading global robotic OEM manufacturer, and how they represent and help the education sector. Because Marty, the future of work is changing. It's no secret that automated technologies such as robots have become an everyday part of the working world as companies look for ways to boost their productivity and performance. ABB Robotics is helping to bridge the gap with new robotics and automation training facilities, partnerships, and training packages. So to learn more about ABB Robotics, you can visit their website at www.abb.com/robotics and then search under the education tab. All right, so joining us today, Marty, we have Christelle Keefer. She is the Global Business Development Manager for Education at ABB Robotics. And fun fact here, which is, kudos to her, she was recently named as one of the 10 women shaping the future of robotics in 2024 by the International Federation of Robotics. Dedicated to inclusivity, she creates innovative solutions to engage diverse communities and equip the next generation for careers in robotics and automation. Christelle also serves on the Robotics Technology Strategy Board for A3 and mentors robotics clubs using her expertise to advance educational initiatives worldwide. So yes, Marty, we have quite a guest here. And Christelle, good morning. Thank you for joining Marty and I here on the PSA podcast.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, great. So listen, I'd like to start off by just introducing obviously the guest, but how about introducing yourself? Tell us a little bit more about your background. What were you like, growing up? I mean, were you a techie kid growing up, or did you always like education and training? Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, so I was always interested in learning. I learned best by doing things hands-on. I was the kid who climbed up on the roof with my dad just to learn how to lay shingles or, figure out how to change a tire. So when I got into robotics, I didn't just want to see how they worked. I wanted to learn how to program them. So what I started doing was taking training, asking a lot of questions and networking with others in this field. And I still ask a lot of questions and I still try to get the training needed to keep up with all of the changes in technology. So my love for learning through hands-on experience has been a constant in my life. Mm-hmm. And with education and training, what I wanted, I don't have an engineering background, and my career path definitely shifted over time because when I started going into university, I initially thought I wanted to be a lawyer, and then I thought I wanted to be a psychologist, and then I discovered human resources, which felt like a blend of both. So then I pursued my degree in HR, and one of my classes was instructional design. Okay. And I developed training curriculum there and really enjoyed it. So that class set me on the path to pursuing a degree in training and development. And I've been passionate about curriculum development, training, and education ever since.
Yeah. And when did you join ABB Robotics?
I joined ABB Robotics in 2014, and I became the director of training there for the Americas. So I was able to get customers the training they needed. Not only educators, but people in the industry were able to come and get customer service and training, online training, in-person training, virtual training to learn how to troubleshoot, program, all of that, all the support that they needed.
Yeah, and we had the pleasure of working together for a couple of years at ABB, you and I both, and until I left in 2019. So yeah, it was a pleasure to get to know you a little bit when I was at ABB as well. So now you're on the global side, right? So yeah. How does that, as you're planning and training curriculum packages from the global side, how does that change or differ from what the U.S. is and how they approach education to from the global side? Can you explain a little bit about some of the differences, or if there is any differences?
Well, our training programs and the curriculum we develop is mainly on the global. The global team develops it and then releases it to all the countries. So it's pretty standard. Okay. But we do offer a lot of different ways to take the training to make it more accessible to people so they can, take it online, they can do it virtually, they can do it in person, but there's a lot of hands-on components to it to allow people to learn about how to do it and then physically do it on the robots. So, but the key to success, I believe, is the strong partnerships and making sure that we continue to build those relationships with our customers to figure out where are they at, what do they need, and we can even, we have our standard trainings, but we can customize trainings for our customers as well and be on site or invite them for a workshop and things like that.
Great. So you are a coach and you're a mentor. We talked a little bit about that in the introduction. So what kind of gets you excited about being a coach and a mentor for the youth and how that, transpires into careers into robotics and automation? Can you explain a little bit more about your involvement in that?
Yeah, sure. So being a mentor for First Robotics has been a great opportunity to guide the young minds to dive into the world of robotics. It's amazing to watch students who have no experience at first gradually take ownership of their projects. I've been involved with elementary school kids within first Lego League up to high school First Robotics streams. So we start with the basics, but then before long, they just get more confident. They're designing, they're building, they're programming their projects to do awesome tasks. So my role is to support them, ask the right questions, help them troubleshoot, but the real magic happens when they start leading the way. So the impact on the club is evident by the way the students grow their confidence, their problem-solving skills, their teamwork skills, and we're not just preparing them for these competitions, but we're preparing them for the future, their future careers in technology. So it's not just learning the technology, but it's all of those professional skills that they're learning and networking with others who are in their careers. And but I also think it's crucial to involve more women as mentors and coaches in these clubs, because when young females see women in STEM roles, it can be inspiring and have a significant impact on their future. But also it's nice because I'll have students who are like, well, I don't know if I want to do engineering. And then I was like, well, I don't have an engineering degree. And I talk through my journey and students get inspired by that. But just, I think, being there for them, sharing your story, sharing your career path, being that mentor is a powerful thing. And I think a lot more, it doesn't require that much. People get intimidated by the word mentor or coach, but it's really a pleasure and a privilege to set our future workforce up for success and be there to support them.
Yeah. So you brought up young ladies, right? Women in the workforce, women getting into robotics and automation. And it's also very important, as I had a podcast a couple of weeks ago with Andrew Brown, and he's really an advocate for skilled trades. And the same thing goes there, right? Whether it be welding, plumbing, carpentry, whatever, we're seeing more women, that inclusivity of women getting involved. So, and I think you play a very important role in that, being a woman yourself in the robotics field and promoting that education. So, I think it's great that, obviously being, nominated there or one of the most influential women in automation robotics is fantastic. So how do you get this message out there, to the masses, to the young team, the young people on these teams? Because, ABB is a big company, right? And you're trying to navigate this globally. How do you get the message out there?
So the message, reaching small, remote communities, education institutions, and manufacturers is crucial. We leverage a variety of tools to make sure our offerings and the message gets out there as accessible. So this includes digital platforms such as virtual training sessions, webinars to connect people no matter where they are. We also have a really strong network of local representatives. So if it's not me or one of my colleagues at ABB, we have our distributors or resellers who are focused on education or manufacturing in general that can build those important relationships and network and work directly with the communities, ensuring they have the access to the latest technology and training resources. Also, there's social media, to spread the word and engage with audiences who might not have direct access to our larger hubs.
Yeah, and earlier we talked a little bit about, the youth and how you've actually been going further, down the educational stream into, elementary schools and such like that. So, I guess, the way kids today are so much on the techie, right, on their phones and on video games and such that they have to be learning at a higher rate, at a much quicker rate. It's got to be pretty exciting to see that you can get a young child so interested in robotics and automation and watching them, kind of work with one of your either like the Yumi or the GOFA, which is your collaborative robots in education. So it's got to be pretty exciting. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, it is super cool. I mean, I was coaching a team in elementary school this past year, and the students who were in kindergarten through fifth grade, I mean, kindergartners were using Blockly, Scratch programming to program the Legos and the gears to move around. And I videotaped like a mom, and I was posting on social, and it's cool to see that because some people think, well, they're just little kids. They're not there yet, but they are there because they grew up with tablets in their hands at like age 3, So I get so inspired by the younger generation because their brains can go so far. So why not challenge them and see where they can go and then be there to support them?
Yeah. And ABB's products they're more transitioning to a user-friendly interface, with the new OmniCore controller and that the Flex pendant for OmniCore. It really is kind of like putting a little tablet or a pendant kind of like in your hand that mimics like a cell phone or like an iPad or whatever like that. So it's really got to be more geared towards user friendliness because that's the way we're going to drive automation, forward, is to make it user friendly for the operators. You agree with that?
Yep, 100%. And not even, I mean, we all know the statistics. We've heard the statistics about the skills gap and the worker shortage, and making it easier for for people who are entering the workforce, or even maybe there's skilled workforce, skilled welders who are like, well, I know how to weld, I just don't know how to program. Well, let's get you there, make it easy for you to do. And then, the easier it is, the more successful and efficient we can be and productive we can be in the workforce.
Yeah. Do you design some training programs around robotic welding, or is it strictly more on the basic, just handling?
No, we have a variety of courses. So in the US, we have over 51 courses: electrical, mechanical, laser welding, arc welding, spot welding classes, material handling classes, palletizing, you name it, we have it. Or we can make it, we can customize. So.
Okay. And so that would be for if like an end user wants to come for training at ABB. That's not necessarily for like in the education sector, like at universities or colleges, tech schools. Is that correct?
We do both. Yeah.
Oh, you do both.
Yeah, sometimes we have educators that say, I have the summer off. Can you make a custom class for me and a couple teachers? We'll come to you or you come to us so we can do that. And they'll just put a list of objectives that they want to achieve by the end of that class and the duration they're looking for. And we work and we make that custom training. We call it toolbox training at ABB.
I'm familiar with that. So I'm on the board of directors at the Hobart Institute of Welding, so one of the premier welding, tech schools that are out there. And I just think that this is a way to get, more welders into the workforce because there's such a need for it. I didn't know that you had training curriculum in robotics for welding out of your education platform. So that's interesting. And I'm going to take that back if because I think there's a way that we can attract more welders into the industry through ease of use robotics.
Yeah. So I misunderstood a little. The welding curriculum is mainly for industry, but educators can come and take it, but we can definitely customize it.
Okay.
But we have partnered with Lincoln Electric, and we have, made a curriculum that's easy to use with their Cooper app as well. So
the Cooper app. Okay. Familiar with that as well. Great. Okay. So I think there's some additional kudos I want to talk a little bit about because I want to get to know what you're doing with this. But I know you're a member of the Rising Star Awards, right, program, so Women in Engineering panel. So you're one of the judges right there. So tell me a little bit about that. I mean, is that a one-time thing, or this is something that is ongoing for you on this panel of judges? And what effect does that have on women in industry and engineering?
Yeah, so the Rising Star Women in Engineering, this is this is the first year they're doing it, and they had reached out to me. The team had reached out to me and said, "Hey, will you be a judge?" And of course, I'd be honored to be a judge. It's inspiring to see the innovative work that women are doing, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to, give back and play a role in shining a light in their accomplishments. So if there's another, I'm assuming this is going to be an annual thing. I'd be happy to be a judge on any panel to help promote and shine a light on women in the workforce and what they're doing, and not just engineering either. Robotics, there's people in robotics that do different roles as well. Project management, HR, things like that. We always think engineering, but any woman in the workforce or minority or people with disabilities, it's so cool to just shine that light on people who achieve so much and deserve the recognition. So the winner for the Women in Engineering Rising Star Award will be announced in October. So feel free to follow me on LinkedIn and stay tuned to see who the winner is.
Great. Marty, you're kind of quiet. Is there anything you want to share?
Well, it's fascinating. I'm engaged. That's why I'm listening. Awesome. One of my favorite topics is artificial intelligence, and I was talking to someone the other day, and they're presenting at a conference, and somebody advised them to say, well, before you teach anybody about artificial intelligence, describe what the heck it is. Because I think so many people are throwing around that word artificial intelligence. But from your perspective and what you're doing in education and industry and in business transformation, talk to me about AI from your perspective.
Yeah, so I like that you said that, because everyone's using it like a buzzword, like it's a brand new word, right? Like AI has been around. We have vision systems, remote monitoring, things like that. So it's been there, but now with like ChatGPT and all that, it's just the exciting way to group because when people say AI, I'm like, well, what are you talking about? Like, what part of AI are you talking about? So in education, we try to get the latest and greatest technologies to the schools so that the students are intrigued. So that's the big question I ask, is what part of AI are you looking for? Are you more advanced with research and development, trying to manage the robots that you have and look at remote monitoring, the efficiency of the robots, the downtime, the uptimes, or are you on the side of like vision and AMRs and how to get, the AMRs on the floor to do more artificial intelligence and navigation that way? So,
yeah. Well, a lot of people are referring to it as business transformation, and and it is in a way. But to just agree with you that people have no idea it's been here forever.
Yeah.
And they don't realize they're subjected to it all the time. Like a lot of the memos I get now are probably written by somebody else other than that person sending it. But back to you, Joe.
No, so AI is always a great topic, and even in the robot studio world, with ABB, simulations are now with digital twinning and things of that nature, being able to bring generative AI into simulations, I think is going to be like the next thing, that to use data and information and I guess like pictures or things from the internet that's out there, to bring them into like a simulation world to really get that digital twin to like the next level. Because I know you guys also do training on Robot Studio. Are you seeing that from the training where more of this generative AI is being pulled in from what's available out on the net?
Yes, for sure. I mean, that's it. The Robot Studio, so when I've networked with schools, they've said Robot Studio hands down is the best compared to what the other software that they're using. And the good news is we actually donate that for free to schools, 100 licenses, so they can program and make that digital twin simulation before even testing it on the robot. The nice thing too for the schools is if they don't have 5, 6, 7 robots in their lab, they can still do it remotely and pair it with virtual reality and augmented reality and manipulate the robot with their fingers, in a digital platform. So,
and that's stuff. The kids love this stuff. Mm-hmm. You've already mentioned that, but that's one way to pull them in.
Yeah.
It's because they love this stuff, and you're right. Just to agree with, I have grandchildren, and I mean, I have a 2-year-old that can can log on and knows about ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it, but all right. So I digress.
Yeah,
Joe.
right. So what are some of the largest hurdles that you're seeing today in the manufacturers, like to adopt flexible robotic automation? As you're going out into the industry, you're talking to not only educators, but also end users to find out what their needs are. So what are some of those largest hurdles that you're seeing?
I believe one of the largest hurdles for manufacturers adopting flexible robotic automation is the lack of skilled labor and also the uncertainty around how to effectively integrate the technologies into their existing processes. So, a lot of manufacturers, especially small to medium sized enterprises, may feel overwhelmed by the initial costs and the complexity of transitioning to automated systems. But how we address it at ABB is through education by offering our training programs that we can tailor to them and demystify automation really by providing the hands-on experience with our technologies. But we also collaborate with educational institutions to integrate robotics training into their curriculum, making sure that the next generation's prepared. And then the biggest thing to me is the biggest component to success is the relationships and the partnerships, understanding what your customers need and continuing that relationship and that dialogue and that communication throughout to say, okay, we got you this far and you're feeling confident. What's next, or what issues are you experiencing right now that we can help make it easy and simplify it? And that just continues to build that relationship and that brand loyalty and things like that. So
yeah. So again, if I go back to you're the global, right? And so the U.S. adopting automation is different than Europe adopting automation. Now China adopting automation. Although you have the same platform, you're very consistent in your approach and materials for education. What is so different about the U.S. versus other markets that are so readily available to adopt automation? Do you have a sense for that? Because it feels like there is still more hesitation in the U.S. than there is in other countries, because you look at the density of robots per individual in the workforce, it's definitely lacking. And I'd like to get your perspective on that, if I could.
Yeah, so I can speak from an educational standpoint. I find that, in the US, we lag in education with robotics because, we have a strong emphasis on innovation and creativity with, through First Robotics and Vex Robotics. But compared to like countries in Japan and Germany, they have way more established pathways and apprenticeship systems for students to transition from education to careers in advanced manufacturing. They also place a high value toward vocational education, and they take pride in manufacturing. Here it's like, maybe Johnny doesn't want to be in manufacturing because it's dirty, dangerous, and dull, but they don't see the exciting part of robotics and programming and the endless possibilities of robotics being not even just in the automotive industry, but food and anywhere, entertainment, beverage, construction. It's just such an exciting field to be in, and I think that the message is slowly spreading, but we're not there yet. But I see, Germany, like I had mentioned, Europe and, Japan, they really have an emphasis and a pathway for success for their students. And we're getting there. We're slowly catching up. But I think that's the solid foundation. And then, the respect for having those apprenticeships and the vocational trainings is higher there.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And it's even like in the skilled trades, and as you mentioned earlier about like welders and what have you, construction. I think the mindset has to change, and certainly, having discussions like this and others just really helps to promote and push that, because I think we have to move the needle forward. Because where is automation, where is manufacturing going to be 5-10 years from now? Right. I mean, we have to be able to catch up and become more, productive, efficient, and perform at a high level in order to stay globally competitive in a manufacturing marketplace. So where do you see it in your mind 5 to 10 years from now, not just only from the educational standpoint, but the more adoption, more readily adopting automation.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that robotics and automation, I mean, it's just going to continue to grow. It makes things more productive, more efficient. And I see most likely an increased adoption of collaborative robots, just because, they're a lot easier to work with, and depending on the end of arm tooling, it's easier to work alongside humans. I also believe we mentioned AI, so I think there's going to be a greater emphasis on artificial intelligence and machine learning to enhance robotic capabilities and really open up that door, making robots even more capable of doing a lot of different tasks and applications, making them more adaptable and efficient. So that's where I believe.
Yeah, and you guys are doing a great thing. So yeah, obviously ease of use is going to be key for that. And you guys are doing everything possible to make sure that your products and your technologies are easy to use. So that's great. And this even parlays then into the next topic I want to get into, and then we're going to wrap it up here, is getting that technology and the ease of use, back into the hands of the youth. And I think you have a nice success story that I want to talk about, right? And it's something you may be showcasing here coming up at IMTS, right? And let's talk a little bit about that as we look to wrap it up, about a success story that you have in education and robotics.
Sure. Yeah. So I have a lot of success stories I'd love to share, but the most recent one is of Wheeling High School. So I'll give you a little background of the school, and then we'll go into the success story. So Wheeling High School is located in the Golden Corridor of Chicago's northwestern suburbs. It's in a highly industrial area with a lot of Fortune 500 companies. There's about 85,000 people employed in manufacturing. So the school started their manufacturing curriculum in 2008, which now includes CNC machining, welding, tooling design, 3D printing, laser cutting, and robotics. Wow. And nearly 350 students, some as young as age 14, participate in their robotics courses annually.
Wow.
So Wheeling High, they chose ABB's curriculum because we allow them to adapt it to their needs. It's flexible. They also use our curriculum or our certification program for their students. They use Robot Studio. So a lot of people are like, well, is Robot Studio just for universities and grad school students? No, we have high school students using them as well. But Wheeling also participates in the Next Generation of Engineers program, which also introduces middle school students through their robotics lab sessions that they have. So they'll bring in middle school students and give them some hands-on time. And I've been collaborating with the two amazing high school teachers at Wheeling High School, Tom Steinbach and Michael Geist. And really what makes their students successful is the teachers and how they approach the learning. They may not have all the answers, but they experiment, they ask questions, they make mistakes, and they learn together. I remember them telling me, like, we don't know what we're doing half the time because they get thrown into making so many courses to support these students to get them ready. When they graduate, they may not go to university. Maybe they'll graduate high school and just go into the trades. So they're like, we learn together, we make mistakes together. And I think that's the best way, is to just be humble and learn together. And the students love it because we're all, in it together. So in addition to Wheeling, what I do is I pull in other universities to collaborate with us. So for example, since Wheeling's in Illinois, I pull in Illinois State University, and they join in on our discussions. We collaborate, we talk to each other, throughout the years. So here you have industry, high schools, universities, all networking together. So but for the success story, at Automate this past May, I invited Wheeling High to participate in the Education Pavilion. And the students, within 2 weeks, they designed this entire from the cart to the program, this DJ robot, ABB robot, it had lights, it had music, it was playing a keyboard. The students were learning on Robot Studio. We had Tom Johnston, one of our engineers, kind of give them more training while they were at Automate.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was an attention getter. This thing was fantastic. So they've been invited because of Automate and the wonderful job that they did on their design of this robotic cell. They were invited to attend IMTS in Chicago this September 9th through 14th. So if you're going to Automate, visit the Student Summit section. Their booth is 121544. One of the demos will be the DJ robot again, but they also have an ABB GOFA collaborative robot, and I'll leave the details of the GOFA demo as a surprise. So come and see what the students have created. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. Marty, high school. That is high school happening stuff there.
Well, in the right environment, and she hit on the two things: educators who are that way, and the educators who also work alongside parents. We need more parental involvement in some of these things. So I think at the elementary and high school level, the parents get involved, the educators get involved. You will therefore have children who are involved. So you're doing great work. That's very exciting.
Yeah, thanks. 100%. That's a great point. It's getting the buy-in of the parents as well is huge, because if the parents don't buy in and believe in automation, then it's a little harder to get the students excited about it. But for sure,
it is. So, but before we leave, we'd like to ask a question. I mean, did we cover everything? Is there anything that you want to point out that we didn't ask you, or that you'd like to end with?
I would say one thing I want to mention is that at ABB, we're always happy to host students and teachers at our North American headquarters in Auburn Hills, Michigan, to give them a tour of our factory, seeing robots, building robots, to meet our staff, to hear about our career paths, and also have some hands-on time with our robots. So, I've had sessions where robotics teams come in, or Girl Scouts come in, or just teachers. Like I had English teachers coming and saying, how can I talk about robotics to my students in language arts? And it's like, well, robotics and language arts, we have people drafting scripting for, the president when he talks at press releases. We have, and there's so much, the email blast that we send, that's part of language arts, the articles that we write. So there's so many different career paths in robotics and automation that people kind of get pigeonholed into thinking it's just engineering. Anyone's welcome. We'd be happy to schedule a tour for you to come see our headquarters in Auburn Hills, Michigan. I've done virtual tours. When COVID was happening, my daughter was in preschool. I actually did like a virtual tour of the robots for the preschool students to see. And they're like, can the robots fry chicken nuggets? And I'm like, they can. But if you want to connect, it'd be great. I'm on LinkedIn, so shoot me a message, and that's the best way to get in touch with me.
Fantastic. Well, we'll tie this all together, and we'll make sure that we get things noted in the show notes when we launch this out there. So folks that there are attending IMTS, they will know that booth number, and that booth number is again?
It is 121544.
12145. What is it again? I'm sorry.
Hang on,
let me write this down. Go ahead.
121544.
Perfect. Okay. Christelle, thanks so much for joining Marty and I on the podcast. It was awesome, and really good to see you again, and then take care of yourself, and look forward to talking in the future.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's great to see you and connect with you again. Marty, great meeting you, and thanks for the opportunity. Have a great day.
You bet.
Great. You too. Thanks. Bye now.
Yep.